When I was a kid, I had a fascination with game shows. Feeling like the competitive structure allowed me to be a part of the game itself, I would eschew the popular children's cartoons of the day in favor of afternoons spent with Family Feud, The Match Game, Let's Make a Deal, The Dating Game, and my personal favorite, The Newlywed Game.
The Newlywed Game oozed the pomp and charisma of the 1960s, from its colorful set design to its entertaining couples and its idiosyncratic nature. For the time, it was quite risque and boundary-pushing. In fact, the show would have to use the colloquialism making whoopee as a stand-in for making love. It ended up catching on, and continued to be used by the show's original host, Bob Eubanks, even after television censorship laws were later relaxed.
The show's unique and memorable characters stemmed from its producer, the eccentric Chuck Barris.
Barris, who dubbed himself the king of daytime television, found great renown for creating not just the Newlywed Game, but the ever-popular Dating Game and The Gong Show, which he also hosted. Barris was also a songwriter, releasing 3 singles under his own name, and writing the 1962 hit Palisades Park for rock and roll singer Freddie Cannon. Barris was born on June 3, 1929 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. After graduating Drexel University in 1953, he landed a management training job with broadcasting giant NBC in 1953. He eventually began working for rival network ABC, beginning as a standards and practices person on hit music program American Bandstand, and eventually ascending the company's ranks to become West Coast Director of Daytime Television.
In 1965, Barris hit superstardom with his show, The Dating Game. The show's format centered upon a featured bachelor or bachelorette and their search for love. The bachelor or bachelorette would spend the show asking 3 prospective suitors of the opposite sex suggestive and thinly veiled risque questions, often laced with double entendre, concluding the show by asking one of the suitors out on a date.
In 1966, the show evolved into the Newlywed Game, this time centering on testing 4 recently married couples' true knowledge of their partners. Both shows were runaway hits, spawning record-high ratings for game shows, and over 26 international spin-offs. However, others perceived Barris' shows as lewd. Barris was nicknamed the King of Schlock, the Baron of Bad Taste, and the Ayatollah of Trasharola. Nonetheless, Barris' impact can still be felt on television today, most notably on programs such as The Bachelor, Love Island, and MILF Manor.
In 1976, Barris created his magnum opus, The Gong Show. To this point, all of Barris' shows were produced by him, yet hosted by others with prior radio, broadcast, or comedy experience. This time, however, Barris would take the MC job himself.
The Gong Show would showcase a multitude of individuals with varying talents, all competing in front of celebrity judges for a cash prize of $516.32. That's $2,848.54 in today's money. The Gong Show was, and quite possibly still is, one of the strangest game shows to ever make it to regular syndication. Everything from the show's humor, including Jerry Marin, one of the Munchkins in the 1939 Wizard of Oz, serenading the show's winner with confetti and balloons, to actual talent being featured, such as actor Paul Rubens and avant-garde band Oingo Boingo, oozed Barris' charm.
His personality was intertwined with the show, his role as host just as important as the talent featured on it. The show remains a cult hit today, and was revived by producer Mike Myers in 2017.
Barris, however, was perhaps best known for his claim to be a CIA assassin from the mid-1960s to late 1970s, killing 33 targets across Southeast Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East. The claim stemmed from Barris' 1984 autobiography, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, in which Barris asserts he was solicited by the CIA after matching the desired profile of an undercover agent. Barris' book was adapted into a 2002 feature film of the same name, starring Sam Rockwell. An Apple TV Plus adaptation of the film is currently in development.
In his book, Barris claims his activities on The Dating Game and The Newlywed Game were merely a front for his business killing for the CIA. The story goes that Barris was approached by a CIA agent named Jim Bird, likely a pseudonym, who recruited Barris as an assassin and sent him on a mission to kill targets in Mexico. For the CIA's part, they denied Barris' story and said that Jim Bird never existed. Then CIA spokesperson Paul Nowak stated once, "It's ridiculous. It's absolutely not true."
Hey Chuck, take it off. Huh? Who are you?
There is the question of Barris' convictions to consider. Ever the contrarian, Barris, who allegedly despised game shows, claims Charlie Kaufman, acclaimed screenwriter of Confessions of a Dangerous Mind,
wrote stuff out of nowhere. My mother never dressed me like a girl. I was never on drugs. The part about my father being a serial killer? That's Charlie. He writes such good stuff.
Barris seemingly made the entire story up. He claims as much in a 1984 Today Show interview, in which he states,
No, I was never a CIA hitman. I never did those things. I once applied for the CIA, and while I was going through the process, I got a job and went on television. But I had always wondered what would have happened if I had done both.
Later in life, Barris changed his tune once again, stating in 2010 that I'll never say, one way or the other. Though Barris passed away in 2017... No, fuck, why? Okay, I have this bad habit. I say like 2010 and then 2000, like whatever. That's a bad habit I'm in. Okay. Later in life, Barris changed his tune once again, stating in a 2010 interview that I'll never say, one way or the other. Though Barris passed away in 2017, his legend continues to live on.
Clear across the avenue is You're Right Again.
I had heard that television was an industry with a future, so I packed up and moved from Philly to Manhattan.
Was Barris really a CIA assassin? Likely not. Though Andrew Lazar, producer of the Confessions of a Dangerous Mind film, still insists that there is a possibility. But his story continues to resonate, in no small part due to its satirical nature. There is irony in the fact that Barris, famous for creating shows testing one's ability to tell the truth, almost never told it himself. There is irony in the fact that one of the most colorful icons of 1960s television was secretly a government-sponsored killer. Or maybe he wasn't. But he still gave us the Newlywed Game. And for that, I'll be forever grateful.
I tried to write an epilogue, and I came up empty, Barris once said. The only moral I came up with is, there is no moral.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host and the star of our show, the incurably outrageous Mr. Chuck Barris.